Hello guys, I'm Urban Fox Gamer, and today we'll be talking about Joe Rogan's comment about video games. As a gamer and an active listener of this podcast, here are my thoughts from this clip.
And video games are a real problem. They're a real problem. You know why? Because they're fucking fun.
Addictive.
And you don't. Yeah. Well, I have a real problem with them. And you do them, and they're real exciting, but you don't get anywhere.
Right.
It's like you could do like martial arts, right? You could learn jujitsu. You get obsessed by jujitsu, and then 3 years later, you're like an elite jujitsu athlete. You're entering in competitions. You're a purple belt.
You're moving up.
Yeah, you're doing well.
Right.
You're thinking like, I might be able to open my own school one day.
You got confidence.
Yeah, if I have 100 students and those 100 students are paying me X amount of dollars per month, I can make a living. Holy shit, I can have this would be amazing. And then you see your jiu-jitsu school and your jiu-jitsu instructor has all these students and drives a Mercedes and he's got a nice family and that's the future. This way you're doing something exciting and fun and or you could just be playing fucking video games. 3 years later, you could be that same kid just playing video games, waiting for the next whatever the fuck game is, next Xbox game to come out, and you're gonna waste your time.
First of all, is it weird to say that video games are fucking fun and doesn't go anywhere, but at the same time it's like martial arts? Question mark?
Well, I have a real problem with them, and you do them, and they're real exciting, but you don't get anywhere.
Right.
It's like you could do like martial arts. What? What the fuck?
And yes, there are problems in video games that we cannot ignore. When responsibilities are compromised, that is clearly a big problem. But his martial arts analogy is ironic. Let me just replace that with video games. You are obsessed with playing video games. 10 years later, you become good at it, becoming the best player. Becoming a master in League of Legends, or a divine in Dota 2, or even a top 500 in Fortnite. Entering in competitions which have loads of cash at stake, and if there is a lot of viewers, by being a pro in the game that you are playing, or just becoming a nice dude, a charismatic, player, you can open a Patreon, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook gaming, to earn revenue. Of course, that includes merch and sponsor deals. And yes, you will able to drive fancy cars with a good family as well. Big esports players plaster their lives by vlogging about it. You can look it up. I understand video games do not make you healthy due to the fact that you are just sitting on your chair. And again, if playing video games for long hours and neglecting your responsibilities are absolutely bad. But before you go type in the comments that Joe Rogan must be cancelled, I think he realized that video games for a living in comedy is not that different at all. This part is important because he relates his situation to gamers and provides good points at the end. Let me just play the clip.
I have children, and it's a big battle in the house.
Yes.
And my kids, I don't know if you're going through this, but my kids are now saying, "Well, Dad, this guy made all this money with this video game. He's
That's
a man."
real too. That's
right?
real too now.
So like that's 1 in a billion, kid.
I don't know if it's 1 in a billion, but look, I heard the same argument about comedy. My own parents were like, "Do you know how few people make it as a comedian?" I was like, "Okay, does anybody make it? Somebody makes it, right? They figure out how to do it. They make a living. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Just stop. I know what I'm doing." I was real lucky that my parents were not around very much, so I didn't get much advice. So I figured it out myself. So there was no one telling me I couldn't do it.
Got it.
So
Green fields.
I was like, I'm gonna find my way through this, and since no one's telling me it's impossible, no one's telling me I can't. Occasionally, I would hear someone say, "What are the odds?" I'm like, "Listen to this fucking loser." That's my thought. Was always like, that guy's a loser. Like, if you think like that, you're a loser. But there are kids that make a lot of fucking money playing video games. But the thing is, like, you have to be adaptable. You have to be able to play multiple video games, because the one video game that you get really good at, what are the odds that's going to be around 5 years from now?
Right.
What's the big one now? Like Fortnite? Do they make money off of that? Yeah. And then there's Call of Duty. They make money off that. What's the big money? StarCraft used to be the big one, right?
That, League of Legends, Counter-Strike.
Counter-Strike it's still the Half-Life mod.
Yeah, variations of it have come out, but it's still basically the same exact game.
They don't make money off Quake though, right? Not really.
Nah, really.
No.
One or two guys do, I think.
Yeah, see, it's you got to pick the right game. You could be obsessed with the wrong game.
What are you going to do? You're going to spend 5-10 hours a day in the house?
You have to.
He acknowledges the fact that there are people making loads of money from doing this. When Decena said that is 1 in a billion, kid, as you can see in his face.
That's 1 in a billion, kid.
I don't know if it's 1 in a billion, but, you know, look, I heard the same argument about comedy.
He realized that he heard the same argument about comedy. His parents told him that only a few people make it and glad they are not there to advise him about it. He made his own way and thinks that saying what are the odds are losers. Another proof that he ain't totally against it, the last point he made is important and correct. You must adapt if you're going to do this for a living, because in reality, in order to stay relevant is to play the trending video game in order to survive the millions of other streamers. And that's the sad reality. I know there are people that are streaming the same game or the niche games that has a following, but if you look at them, it's either you are a pro, a speedrunner, or you're just fun to watch. To wrap this up, the only thing that I do not agree is playing video games is a waste of time. There's a saying goes, time you enjoy wasting, it's not wasted time. Regardless if it is playing video games, making art, or doing martial arts.
They're fucking fun.